Sighing in frustration, Ryan turned around, hoping for a little assistance. Her eyes met Jungkook as he entered the room, a small garland of flower in his hand, ready to make the final touch to her look. You look beautiful, he said, with warmth in his eyes softening when they met hers. The way she was dressed was enough to take his breath away. The deep red sari with golden accents complemented her skins, making her look every bit as enchanting as she did in his dream. Vine smiled faintly, her cheeks turning pink. Thank you, but I need help with the sari. I can't seem to get it right. Jungkook approached her with tenderness that surprised both of them. His hand shook slightly as he raised the garland and gently placed it in her hair. The scent of fresh jasmine flower filled the room, adding a soft sweetness to the charged air. He adjusted it with the utmost care, his finger grazing her neck, sending a shiver down her spine. Let me help you with the rest, he said quietly, his voice low and calm, but his eyes betraying a flicker of longing. Let me help you with the rest, he said quietly, his voice low and calm, but his eyes betraying a flicker of longing. One breath caught in her throat as she met his gaze. I don't know, Jungkook, she whispered. I have never been good at this. I am here with you, he said, his voice steady but laced with a tenderness that made her heart race. He moved closer, his finger brushing against her stomach as he carefully draped the sari around her. As his hand adjusted the fabric, a soft warmth spread between them. The more his finger grazed her skin, the more the atmosphere between them changed. The room seemed to shrink, and all Ryan could focus on was the feel of his touch, so close yet so intense. His hands lingered a moment longer than necessary on her waist as he adjusted the plaits. Ryan breath caught, her body feeling a strange pull towards him. Jungkook's gaze dropped to the curves of her waist, where his finger rested just a bit longer. It was as if time has frozen for a moment, and all that mattered was the heat rising between them. Ryan, Jungkook whispered, his voice thick with something unspoken. His hand slid lower, his finger tracing the outline of her stomach, sending a wave of warmth through her. Ryan's body tensed, but there was no pulling away. She closed her eyes, feeling her pulse quicken. The way his hand moved over her skin felt possessive yet tender. She was caught between wanting to push him away and wanting him to pull her closer. Ryan opened her eyes to find his face inches from her. The intensity of the moment was overwhelming, and as much as she knew they were on the edge of something forbidden, something wild, she couldn't seem to stop herself. Jungkook, she murmured. Her skin burned where his body touches her. Ryan felt the heat between them escalated. His closeness was intoxicating. His every moment felt like a promise of something they had both denied for far too long. Jungkook, I, she gasped, her body aching slightly as his hand slid lower on her stomach, his finger gently teasing the soft flesh. I want you, he murmured, his voice thick with desire more than you know. His hand, still on her stomach, moved upward slowly, his fingerprint grazing the soft skin of her ribcage, sending electrical shock through her. Her chest tightened, her breath becoming shallow as her body reacted instinctively to the heat of his touch. Her hand found his, guiding it just a little lower, urging him to touch her where she needed him the most. The tension in the room became unbearable, and with one swift movement, Jungkook spun her around to face him. His eyes locked on hers, dark with desires. "I won't hold back, Wyan," he growled, his voice low and almost desperate. "I can't. I have tried, but I can't." Wyan's heart hammered in her chest as she looked at him. There was no turning back now. Every inch of her body screamed for him, for this, for the closeness they both needed but had been too afraid to admit. Her hands gripped his shirt tightly, pulling him closer. Wanting more, she could feel his breath on her lips, his presence overwhelming her sense. "Jungkook, please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I need you too." And in that moment, the world outside no longer mattered. There was nothing but the undeniable chemistry between them. Jungkook's lips descended on her with a hunger that startled them both, as if he was starving for this connection. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a release of everything they had been holding in, the pent up emotion, the desire that had been buried for too long. One hand roamed up to his neck, pulling him deeper into the kiss. As his body pressed harder against her, every inch of their body seemed to communicate something unspoken. Desire, passion, needs, they moved together as though they had always been meant to. Ryan gasped, shoving Jungkook away in pure panic, but the man barely moved, his grip still firm on her waist. She turned toward Ayan, her face burning with embarrassment. "Brother, why did you come in without knocking?" Ayan stood at the door, arms crossed, an infuriating smirk plastered on his face. "Wow, so this is what happening when I thought you were busy wearing your sari." Jungkook for once looked mildly caught off guard, clearing his throat as he tried to step back. But Ayan raised an eyebrow. "And you, how did you become so shameless being my brother-in-law?" Jungkook, ever the smooth talker, quickly regained his composure. "I was just helping her with the sari," he said, scratching the back of his head. Ayan snorted. "Yeah, yeah, I saw exactly how you were helping." Vine groaned, covering her ears. "Brother, enough. Don't you have anything else to do?" Jungkook, instead of looking embarrassed, smirked and pulled Vine back into his arms despite her protest. "Well, what can I say? Your sister is irresistible," he said smoothly, making Vine slap his chest in pure mortification.